That's my joke.
You don't get a joke. Alright, what are we talking about here?
Okay, I got an idea.
What's your idea?
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs?
Potty watch dinosaurs.
Potty watch dinosaurs. We are here to talk about Loki. This is Aiight. So boom. I am LR Blitzkrieg.
I am the marksman.
And we are here today to talk about Loki episode Trace.
Yep.
Is that three? Trace?
1, 2, 3. Trace.
Uno,
Yes.
dos, tres. Yeah.
Uno, dos, tres.
Yeah, I took a little Spanish. Un poquito. What's up to all my people I saw in the Heights? Another Disney.
Oh, not enough people saw it apparently.
Yeah, and a lot of people had, things to say about it because there were a lot of light-skinned Anyway.
Should have called me.
You was going to play Dominican?
Come on, Lynn. I could have.
Yeah? You know Spanish?
Mi corazón! Thank you.
So we're here to talk about Loki. Episode 3 dropped, and, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, man.
What'd you think?
We decided to not talk about this episode prior.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he thinks about this.
Side note, usually we discuss what we thought of the episode before we record and bring our thoughts to you. But today, I said, no, let's do something different. Let's just go in cold and see, how we felt about the episode. So what'd you think?
Come on, man. I thought it was actually... The visuals kept me captivated with the episode. It was the shortest episode.
Was it the shortest?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was the shortest. It was 30. It wasn't even 40 minutes. Not a lot happened as far as the larger narrative.
Right.
But I enjoyed it a little bit more than the other two.
Really?
I did, and I know it's probably an unpopular opinion. I did.
I thoroughly enjoyed episode 1 and 2. I thought episode 3 was ass. I hated it. And I haven't hated an episode of anything that came in on Marvel Disney Plus yet. But this one I was just like, what?
I hear you. It's something about the visuals that kept me like,
nah, man. The visuals didn't even feel well done to me. It didn't.
Okay.
That's how I felt about it, and especially aside from the visuals, right, which I just wasn't that fond of, the dialogue between the two Lokis, garbage juice. It was just like like, what am I watching here? Like, is this a sitcom? Like, that's not funny? What are we doing?
They relied a lot on dialogue, and in the first 2 episodes of Loki, bro, I wasn't enthused. I mean, there was a lot of dialogue in that too, and I didn't feel that engaged. This one, I understand. I definitely understand. It wasn't the best dialogue.
I don't like Sylvie.
It wasn't.
She's not. Loki is a character, right?
Yes.
And I think he does his best work when he has very dynamic people to play off. She's not dynamic. She's just there. And I get that her character is a variant who, is trying to keep everything close to the vest and not, give a lot of information, which makes it harder for him to do his job.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as an actress so far, like, as a Loki, I expect more from her. And I'm not getting it from her, so I'm not getting it from him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what's happening here? Is Loki going to kiss himself?
Right.
Is he not? Like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I mean, you could rewind the tape on last week's episode when she was revealed. I made it very clear that it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
It did not. That reveal moment, I didn't get that. That's Loki.
Yeah.
So I was relieved to hear that it's not.
Now it is a Loki. She's
is.
from what I understand of the episode. And you tell me what you think, right? She is a Loki variant. She says she is. She says she's a Loki variant, which could be deceitful, sure. But she decided to change her name to Sylvie,
right?
Because she doesn't want to be a Loki variant, which also makes sense with what we were talking about before with the Sylvie Laffy daughter, because if Loki is Laffy's son,
right,
and she's Laffy's daughter, and he only had one kid, it has to change from Laffy's son to Laffy's daughter. Right. So I didn't even think of that. I was thinking her as a auxiliary character to a Loki, so she's the daughter, but she's really Loki Laffy daughter, but she just changed her name to Sylvie Laffy daughter. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it seems like they are meshing again. This is what MCU does all the time. They're meshing characters together. So she is a variant of Loki. Plus, she's the Enchantress. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because she enchants people with her power is an enchanting power. Right. She's a blonde. So they're kind of melding those characters together, where this new variant of Loki is now the MCU's Enchantress. Is what it seems to me.
That's what they're doing. Yeah. It appears that Marvel may have wanted to stay away from the Lady Loki moniker to give her her own identity. Sure. Because as much as we're saying Lady Loki, they never use that phrase on the show. Yeah. So because honestly, it's not proper, right? It's like, I'm not a lady version of you. I'm me. I'm me. Correct. You know what I'm saying? So, respectability politics, or whatever you want to call it, it just makes sense for her to, even though she is a variant of what he is, she's still who she is. Right. She's her own person, and it seems, if they didn't do it that way, that you might have a ton of people on Twitter, saying something negative about it. And you can see, you can see the context that they're trying to have certain conversations with sexuality and identity. Right. There are a lot of those issues being tossed around. Right. But like I said, I wasn't, I'm not too impressed with her as an actor on this level. Tom Hiddleston's charisma is here, and I felt their banter was lacking in that regard.
Yeah,
I
didn't feel, and that's the thing, right? On the first two episodes, when Loki is going back and forth with Mobius, it's witty, it's fun, it's you can feel the challenge between them, the matching of wits, right? I don't feel a matching of wits between Loki, and I should. And I shouldn't understand everything that they're talking about, right? Like, I should know what they're talking about, but at the end be like, oh, he was tricking her, or oh, she was tricking him, and everything was just so surface.
Yeah. She tried to fool him with the energy source. Remember, he was like, yo, first of all, he called himself tech savvy. So there's a couple times where they prove that she's smarter than him. Right?
Sure. Okay.
He called himself tech savvy, and then he's like, all right, let's recharge it over here at this little building. She's like, yeah, sure, knowing that wasn't going to recharge the tempad.
That doesn't make her smarter than him. That makes her know the technology better, because she's been through this a bunch of times.
Well, she didn't end up getting it from him, so she didn't win that little battle. But she was using her wit. You kind of see the little Loki-ness in her to kind of... That was their way of saying, yeah, she's a little slick.
I mean, they're both Lokis. They both have their things about them. But it seemed like Loki proper, or the first variant, right? Tom Hiddleston.
You can call him Loki and Sylvie.
Yes, Loki and Sylvie, you're right. That he is more manipulative, and he has more guile than she does, where a lot of times she goes in head first, like, let's just attack. Right? Even the whole thing with getting on the train, right? He had an idea of what to do, and it seemed like she just wanted to like bust heads and take over or whatever.
Well, I got from that she wanted to create a plan, and I think that was another device they used to show that she's smarter, because he came up with she said, that's not a plan, that's just a thing you did. He didn't have a plan necessarily. He pretty much does his deception. I think they were really trying to use it to show how simple Loki is, how basic Loki is, and how more complex she is. I don't think I don't think it got it well to the audience, but I think they tried to do that.
But there were times when he was like, that you can't solve everything with, fighting or a sword. Like, we have to use more tact or guile. He used those terms. And, I think they both obviously have something to learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
That's what this whole episode was about, was them learning each other, and seeing if they wind up actually liking each other, which it seems, they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to go through every scene, but like, what were your standout moments?
Well, there were a couple important things that happened. Literally a couple. One of the major reveals, the main reveal, we'll start with that, is that we know now that all of the TVA employees are
variants.
And
I text him a couple days ago, right? And I was like, yo, what if every time they kill a timeline, they take those variants from that timeline and use them as the employees for the TVA, because it's massive.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it turned out that it seems like that is the case. Like, and they wipe their minds so that they don't know that they're variants, so they don't know that they're humans or from whatever world, right? Who knows? That are being, basically forced to labor in here, because if they knew who they were, they'd have a choice. And right now they have no choice. They just think that this is their reality.
We see remnants of that in the TVA with Owen Wilson's character Mobius.
Yeah.
With the
jet ski.
The jet ski, that's a
boat.
90s thing.
Yeah.
The Josta drink, that's a 90s thing. So we can kind of surmise now that he's from Earth from the 90s.
Yeah.
And that brings me also to the office scene when he had the bunch of rings. I believe there are a bunch of Mobiuses.
Right, and that we were talking about
Mobius.
All those rings are his.
All Mobius. The other analyst is Mobius.
It's all. You think they're all Mobius?
I believe, because in the comics there were multiple
Mobius.
Mobiuses.
His name is Mobius M. Mobius,
I
think the M is also Mobius, and it's a loop that loops onto itself, right? So it keeps on going.
Yeah.
No matter how you turn it, it just keeps on going. So yeah,
in the next episode of the final, we're gonna see a bunch of Mobiuses. He's gonna find out that he's not alone.
Where did Mobius go to high school?
Oh yeah. Well, Franklin. Yeah,
he went to Roosevelt.
Where that pen came from.
That pen is from his school.
So that loop kind of closed itself. When they revealed that the C20 TVA soldier who was abducted.
Right.
Now I thought, my guess in the first scene where they show that little bar scene where they're having margaritas.
Yeah, that was cool.
You know what I thought? I thought she knew her in real life.
Me too. Yeah.
I was like, she grabbed her because that's her girl.
She was being enchanted.
But she was being enchanted. Now with the knowledge we have of the TVA, right? It's safe to assume, because the song that was playing, there's a little deep dive. The song that was playing in the intro leading up to that margarita scene was released in 2019.
Okay. So
we could guess that C20 is from the year 2020. It's possible.
Yeah.
Right? So,
C20, 2020, right?
Her name could be, Catherine 20, whatever the C is. It could be a level of whatever. We don't know that
and
yet.
B-15 used to be a bus.
Jesus Christ, crap. Brooklyn. But yeah, B-15, she could have been taken in 2015 or 1915,
1715.
Right? We don't know exactly,
yeah.
Which is the cool part. But that's another way we kind of get into that variant. That's the largest part of this episode is really the variant reveal.
Yeah, that was big. That was huge. What else?
The final scene was dope. We could talk about that final scene. There was a couple things that happened in that final scene. That long shot that they did of the arc.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching Total Recall.
There's a one part, Blitz, and it happens so fast, where a tower falls down.
Time out. Before we started this episode, right? We were getting ready. I'm setting up the camera and everything, and I said, "Yo!"
That's what you're talking about?
What did that mean? And then you was like, "What?" And I was like, "I can't tell you yet. We got to do it in the episode."
I'm glad you
when that pillar fell, and then didn't fall. What the?
Now, when you watch it again, it looks like time was reversed.
Yes.
It looks like he used a time stone, which would be it'll be cool and stupid because why would you not use it on the Ark? But the next episode could start with him using that time stone on the Ark.
Yes, because the Infinity Gems don't work inside the TVA, but they are not inside the TVA right now. So if he had one of these paperweights in his pocket, or 2 or 3, he now has the ability, and would make me feel better about this episode, because he knows that anything that happens, he can fix.
Right.
Because their cavalier attitude about this whole episode, right, while there are moon meteors falling on their head the whole time, just annoyed the hell out of me. There was no sense of urgency. There was no care. It was just like, oh yeah, we're just walking down the street while, at any point in time, I could have a crater in my face. Or my face could be a crater.
Yeah. Sometimes they were running. Sometimes they were literally like you could see a huge meteor behind them, and they're just like la 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 la.
Yeah, the attitude of it didn't seem consistent with what was going on, their surroundings, or there was no urgency.
Agreed. And we have to make a note. This is Lamentis,
and I get that they're gods
in the year 2077.
Right, I get that they're gods, and they have a different feeling of the ending of
death, apocalypse,
life, death, whatever. But come on, fam, I've seen Loki way scarier for way less.
Yeah, they definitely used it when it was convenient for the moment that they were in.
Here's another thing that bothers me about it, and this has always bothered me about Loki. His power set is inconsistent. So, I'm not talking about his magical abilities. I'm talking about his actual strength.
Yeah.
He's super durable, clearly, because the Hulk banged him around like a rag doll, right? And he just he got right back up.
Right.
But then he has to have a regular fist fight with some Cobra guard on the train that's wearing a knit sweater, and it's it's a problem.
Yeah.
Why is this a problem?
Yeah, that was definitely inconsistent. I caught that because they gave him the business. He's doing hand-to-hand combat like he's a regular dude.
He's not a regular dude.
Yeah, he's
You're
not.
a frost giant god from Asgard.
Yeah. And even if they did something to because they're not humans, right? This is not Earth, so they're not humans.
That's facts.
Right? If they did something to make them a little different from humans, so that as an audience member, you're going, okay, well, these aren't people.
Right.
Because as we're seeing them as people.
But again, you're not at the TVA. You have powers. You can do so many things.
Right. As you showed in other
but you only use them when it's convenient for the story.
Yeah. There are times, there are times that they're going to use the story to their advantage, and they definitely stretched that out in this episode, But keep in mind, but back to that tower falling. If you remember, the Infinity Stone, remember the draw of Infinity Stones?
Yes.
He picked up the Time Stone. He picked up the Time Stone. And it was subtle, but... so I'm wondering if they're...
His sleight of hand.
I'm wondering if they're doing that. If he's just kind of put that in his pocket, and then for this situation, I feel like he would have used it more. But at the end of the episode, he was just standing there. Sylvie walked off, and he's standing there. So it's very likely, if the whole Time Stone thing is true, that he went back and he will change this arc situation, and they could kind of use that.
Yeah.
If,
Let's go back to the beginning of the episode, right? Sylvie, she gets into the TVA.
Yeah.
And Loki follows her. And they get to the golden doors of the elevator that C20 told them that where you could find the
timekeepers.
The timekeepers. And then Ravonna shows up and she's like, I'll kill him. She's like, okay.
Give a damn.
There were some paintings on the side wall that I saw really quickly. And I only saw the episode once, but really quickly, and one of them looked super Kangish to me. Just saying.
Okay.
But
I didn't see that.
And not necessarily Jonathan Majors-ish, but Kangish.
Right.
And it was really quick, and I was like, hey, that looks like Kang, but whatever. And then Loki uses the time thingy, and they bounce out of time.
There was another major Kang reference, by the way. If you go to the end of the episode, the last frame of the show is the wooden sculptures.
Yes.
It's centered on his face.
Yeah.
I was like, wait.
Yeah. They're really like letting you know, like, we tried to tell you, and we're trying to tell you. But I don't think that Kang. Here's what I think, and spoiler alert, and it can't be a spoiler alert because I don't know if this is true or not. Right?
So boom.
Behind those golden doors, right? There's no timekeepers.
Okay.
They are not timekeepers. There is somebody behind that door.
Okay.
Do you want to know who I think it is?
It's not Kang?
No.
Who?
So when episode 1 came on, right, and Loki realized that the Infinity Stones don't work there, he asked and he said, "Is this the biggest power in the universe?" And his first ideas was to overthrow the TVA. Sylvie's idea is to go and kill whoever is to kill the timekeepers, right? So every time Loki comes into the TVA, he's trying to get to them. And we know that the TVA has encountered many Lokis before. Do you think every Loki failed? Loki is behind the door. It's another variant of Loki.
We have older Loki that we haven't seen yet.
It's Loki! Say what?
We have older Loki that we haven't seen yet.
Who told you that?
Because he's casted.
It's older Loki behind the door, fam. I didn't even know that. It's older Loki behind the door. Because for me, the series doesn't work unless we see multiple versions of Loki.
Yeah.
And not multiple versions of Loki. And not the pictures that we saw in episode 2 where, they just real quick. I need to see multiple versions of Loki.
Yes. My theory with the older Loki is that he's the one influencing Sylvie. Because Sylvie knows way too much about the TVA and how the time bombs work and the resets. She knows way too much for somebody who...
Yeah, man. I honestly think that that there are no timekeepers. I don't know if there ever were any timekeepers. There could have been, and Loki won.
Oh, is that what you're saying? You think he's pulling the strings behind the TVA?
So, here's my theory, right? Either... One, there were timekeepers, and that was a thing. And then they were clipping realities, and one Loki that they were trying to clip that they brought in, and just like they brought in, our Loki. Once he got in, he overthrew them. He infiltrated, overthrew them, and now he's acting like they still exist. He killed them off or got rid of them, and now he's pulling the strings from behind the golden doors. That's right? Or it was Loki all along. You know what I mean? And he made up this whole world where they need something to believe in, so let's give them 3 gods and all of this stuff, blah blah blah. But I think honestly the latter, that Loki infiltrated, and once they get behind the door, they're just going to see another version of them, because ultimately the show has to be about something, right? Yeah. And I think it's about owning all of the facets of your personality. Like, I'm not good. I'm not a hero. I'm not an anti-hero. I'm not evil. I'm everything. I'm all those things, because most people are all things. There's nobody that's all good or all bad or any of those things, right? And that's been Loki's story throughout the MCU the whole time. So I really think that they're playing on that, and it's really that that Oz thing where it's not the great and powerful Oz. It's just another Loki, doing his thing.
That's interesting. I mean, there's so many puzzle pieces. I know I don't believe we're going to see Jonathan Majors, but I do believe we will see some sort of Kang. I don't know, man. I don't want to think too much.
Listen, there's no way that we're just like building all of this Kang-ish stuff with this time show in our head. He's there, and you can't tell me that we're wrong, because Ravonna,
right? She's there.
She's there. If you put her as the main officer,
Yeah,
judge
yeah.
in this show,
Yeah.
and you tell me that this got nothing to do with Kang,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be upset.
Well, I mean, they could. Can they tell this? The question is, can they tell this full story without Kang?
I think they can tell the
could.
full story without him, but it has to tie in eventually.
Yeah. Definitely eventually. I'm worried about the Loki show.
I don't care if we never see him in this show.
Yeah.
I don't care, but it has to tie together eventually.
No, it will. When you see that black face at the end, you definitely will see how that ties in.
That was a Jonathan Major nose on that wooden stand of that. Like, come on.
Jonathan Majors has the perfect face for Kang. Not making fun of him, but he has a square face. Like, when they casted him, I laughed for like a good 5 minutes before because he looked like he has a.
It's interesting though. Like in reading the comics, I never put a race to Kang, right?
Yeah.
I never thought of him as black or white. He's just a blue dude.
Right, he's blue,
right?
Right.
But it works. And then you see, like, even if you watch our other episodes when we put up the pictures that people have photoshopped. It looks so perfect, and if it doesn't look as good as that Photoshop picture that we keep putting up, I'll be like, come on, fam.
They definitely would have to do better than that.
Yeah.
But of course, live action is easier than a Photoshop picture.
For sure.
Because it could look ridiculous as well.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't know as a kid, I didn't only knew this the last few years, that that's a mask though. That's not his. I kind of always thought that was his face. Isn't that
I never really thought about it, and I honestly can't remember seeing.
I think it's a mask.
I can't remember ever seeing. Well, Immortus. When you see Immortus looks like a regular white human dude, right?
Right.
He should look like a black human dude because Immortus is. Not Immortus. Ramatut. I mean, Immortus and Ramatut have the same face, basically.
Yeah.
But they're both white dudes, and Ramatut should really be a black dude
dude.
because it's Egypt, Africa, or at least Middle Eastern at the very least. So yeah, because Kang, the Kangs we know are Ramatut from the far past, right?
Right.
Then we know Franklin. Iron Lad. Is that Franklin? Yeah. So, Ramatut, Iron Lad, Kang, Immortus. Is there any others?
Not that I know of.
There might be because
there probably is because he has a lot of versions.
Yeah.
But those are the most popular ones. Those are the most
absolutely. And sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. Iron Lad is a good guy, and the rest of them are usually kind of bad. Immortus is actually kind of a good guy. Mm-hmm. Kang is like the absolute worst, and Immortus is pretty bad too. These are just versions of the same dude throughout the timeline, who is known as, for the most part, Kang.
You know what's dope? You just brought that up. What they're doing with this show, they can do that with Loki. They can do that with Kang later because they've prepared us for this version. For the different versions.
Yes.
One thing with Sylvie and Enchantress, you know this. She ends up messing with the Young Avengers. She leads them.
So, guys, if you don't know this, right? There are two Enchantresses. There's the original Enchantress, who is a god.
Right.
And then there's Sylvie, I can't remember what
From Oklahoma.
From Oklahoma. And Loki decided to play a game and give this girl powers.
In the comics.
And that's where Sylvie came from. I feel like they're totally doing something different here. But you might be right. If it is Loki behind that door, right? Perhaps she was just a regular variant girl, and Loki gave her powers and changed her memories, or maybe didn't change. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so he actually created an Enchantress that people think of as another Loki, but she's really not. But also, she could just be a Loki variant. With
that theory, remember she said she taught herself her own. She taught herself how to use magic.
Yes.
That could have been, you were given magic, sis.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It could have been that, because they went out their way to say certain things, So I'm 50-50 on that theory. It definitely could be one way or the other.
It's interesting how much I hated this
episode,
and yet we have such engaging debate about what's happening next.
I'm telling you. The variant thing is what this whole thing is about. So that's enough.
Them getting on the train and him getting drunk and losing his disguise and saying they don't care, and then you got all the Come on, fam. You know better. You know better.
End of the world.
Sure.
You know, but he definitely lost his touch. He definitely wasn't on it.
Yeah, and then dude goes out and be like, "Yo, there goes that right there."
Kevin. It wasn't a Karen. It was a Kevin.
Right. Then goes, Kevin came back and pointed him out to the popo, and then all hell breaks loose, and that last scene, man, that's another thing that bothered me about the episode. So they get thrown off the train, fine, right? They still get to the destination of where the Ark is. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get on the Ark, and the Ark never made it off before, but this time we're gonna make it off because we're here.
Right.
With him already knowing that variant energy never showed up in any of the apocalypses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. So they're trying to get to the Ark. You can see the moon. Like, here's the planet, here's the moon.
Right.
Like, right here. And it actually looks like an incursion from the comic books, because that's what all the incursions from the comic books, it reminded me so much of that, where you see a planet, like, about to, like, bust into another one. But, and these freaking cops from this planet are still, like,
chasing them.
Come on, fam. It's over.
Right.
Get your asses on the ship or don't. That's it.
Right.
Like, why?
I mean, you figure you have safety concerns with, I hear you. I mean, hey.
It was just silly. And then, the running through the streets, I was like, it didn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah. I hear you. There's something about this. I will be very honest with you. I've been underwhelmed with the first 2 episodes, because I'm forgiving it because I know there's a lot to explain. That's the only reason why I have forgiven it.
I really liked the first 2 episodes because I liked the dialogue, I liked the intrigue and the mystery of it all, and the trying to find clues in the layers of it. Mm-hmm. I don't need action all the time. I need a good storyline, and this episode was more action, less storyline, and bad dialogue. To me.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, the best thing. What did y'all think?
What did y'all think?
Please leave us in the comments. Drop us. Let us know what you thought of this episode. There's a lot of. I think the last 2 are going to be. Listen, y'all better go out with a bang. And Tom Hiddleston said himself that the last 2 are his favorites. So
really.
That's
a good thing.
That's what he said.
I have high hopes for the show. Clearly I'm going to keep watching because I got to cover it for you guys.
No doubt.
And even if I didn't, I would still. I give them the longest rope in the world when it comes to Marvel stuff, because they very rarely, Thor: Dark World, ever done me wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like
Iron Man 3. Yeah, I mean, these things happen every once in a while.
Every once in a while they drop the ball, but they always pick it back up and hit the goal. So I'm not mad. This just was my least favorite episode so far.
Yeah, I hear you. And even, trust me, our bar is so high for Marvel that this show is still knocking out a lot of content that's out there. Yeah. And if you want to compare it to other comic book shows, I mean, let's not even do that.
They're killing it.
So we're definitely more critical because we want this to work.
Yeah, man.
So definitely be in contact with us. Follow us on Instagram.
For sure.
We throw Instagram lives up randomly just to see if y'all paying attention. Mm-hmm. And we're definitely going to be back next week for some more.
Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications. Ring that bell.
Ding, ding, ding.
Leave us comments. Tell us what you like or don't like about the show. Not our show, Loki. No, I'm just kidding. You gotta like our show. No, tell us what you like or don't like about our show. The little time bombs we throw out. Anything. We just want engagement from you guys. We do this. We're here for you. And this is Aiight, so boom. I'm LR Blitzkrieg.
I am the Marksman.
Stay tuned. We will be back next week. Later.
Boom.
Boom.
And Lily Loki loves herself.
She does?
Yeah.
She should.
Makes sense. I'd agree with that.
Is Loki a good guy or a bad guy?
Bye.
He's a bad guy?
Yeah.
What about Lady Loki?
I'm very sure about that.
So, she's a superhero.
She's a superhero?
Yeah.
You think so? Please don't touch that.
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So Loki's a bad guy. And Lady Loki's a good guy.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
What about Wonder Woman?
Yeah, she's a good guy.
Oh, does she have muscles? Like, show me the muscles.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, you're flying.
That's flying.
Yes.
Why is Loki a bad guy?
He's not necessarily a bad guy. He's a little mischievous. He doesn't want to be a bad guy. It's just part of his personality, and he's trying to fix that about himself.
And why is Loki a good guy?
Because you said so. I don't think she's a good guy.
Why do you think she's a good guy?
Because she said, this is not about you in the movie.
When did you
She
see
really
that?
said that.
When Loki was sorry.
Wow. You didn't even see the show, and you know that she said that. That's amazing.
Well, she clearly saw the show.
She didn't. She didn't see the show.
How is she quoting lines from the script?
Because she saw me editing episode 2.
Oh, she was editing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And she said that this is not about you.
She said that. This is not about you. You're right.
And put her honey down.
Right. You're amazing. You know that?
Yeah.
So that makes her a good guy.
Yeah.
That makes you a good guy, too.